Good morning, everybody. If you want to hear how my first day at work went, stay tuned. But today is World Caring Day. So, how are you going to show someone that you care? We'll talk about some ways. See you in a few. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Crafting Journey here, that journey chick over on Instagram. I need to post more on Instagram. Wow. I'm going to take a picture today and post since I'm almost done with this. I got the fan running here because it's hot. Yeah. Well, I went for that short walk this morning. Oh my God. Before I get into my day at work, let me just tell you, please hit the like button. He's exhausted because I drug him everywhere I went. He had to come too. So he's tired too. So please hit the like button on your way in or out of the show today. And if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. Share it with a friend. And the notification bell. You want to hit all so you don't miss a single episode of Crafting and Crime Daily. Yeah, share the news with your friend. Hey, there's this really cool show that you can watch or listen to while you craft. Also, it's free to subscribe. I don't charge you a thing to subscribe. Absolutely free. All right. How did my day go at work? Oh, wow. Well, well, first of all, when I got home from work, my sister says, "Oh, that dress is see-through." Like, well, thank you for telling me. I've been wearing it all day. I'm like, well, what can you see? Well, your underwear, your bra. I'm like, well, okay, everything's covered. The lady bits are covered, so whatever. Oh my! So I get to work. Everybody's there. And I'm thinking, why is everybody here on a Monday? And they're like, because it's Monday. And I'm like, well, as it turns out later, they have all been instructed to come back to work from remote working. They have to all be in the office 4 days a week now instead of 3 days a week. So they only get to work from home 1 day a week. Okay, except for my coworkers. And she and I report to a different person. So first thing I do is I walk down to the, let me diamond paint while I'm telling you this story. I walk down to the employee health office and I'm like, can I get a copy of my return to work letter? Because I wanted to go discuss it with my boss. They're like, oh, we never got it. What do you mean you never got it? And you can't clock in. I'm like, no, I'm here to work and I'm salary. I don't clock in. So that's a moot point. I will get paid for working today. It just kind of gives me the evil eye. So I go back to my office and I call the doctor's office and I leave a message. And an hour later, I call the doctor's office and leave another message. Because they're like, oh, the nurse is with the patient, she'll call you back. Or, oh, she said to take a message. And then the third time, they're like, well, and the woman it was the same woman every time that kept, the same operator. She's like, oh, honey, I've told them about your message. And I told them it's urgent and, they're busy. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming down there. So I go down there at 12:30. I'm thinking it's lunchtime. Because I figured, well, they called me over at lunchtime. They didn't call me, so it's like 12:30, 12:45. I decide I'm going to go down there. So I go down there, and the nurse was really sweet. She's such a sweet lady. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. What do you want me to put in the note? And I'm like, well, what happened to the note that you were supposed to write 2 weeks ago when I asked you to? And she's like, well, let me go check your chart. She comes back. She's like, no, we didn't do it. We're sorry. We're so sorry. And she goes, I remember what you wanted in the note. You wanted to work from home. And, and so she goes, I'll be right back. She comes back. And lo and behold, the note says that I should work from home remotely. And she goes, it'll just be, indefinitely, because they're not going to ask, when you're coming back. And yeah, she put in there about elevating the leg and icing it and periodically during the day and, normal stuff. So, so I'm like, okay, we're going to see how this is going to fly. So I take the note, I go back to work, I hand it to the employee health person, and they're like, okay, well, we have to do a reasonable accommodation requests, whatever. So I explained to her that, and it'll go to your manager, and if they can accommodate you, it'll be approved. And I'm thinking, okay, but my manager, I don't have a manager right now. And she's like, well, HR will know that. I said, no, I don't think HR does know that. They just know that the position hasn't been filled. I said, I report to someone else now. And I told her who I reported to. So she said she would change it in the chain of command under my file or whatever. So then I take a copy and I take it over to my boss. And I don't even think she read it. She's just like, oh, glad to have you back. And she's telling me what days are you here in the office? And I'm like, well, according to the note, none. I'm supposed to be working from home. I said, but normally, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And so she writes that down, and she's like, because we have to do your year-end evaluation, which they always do in the middle of the year, which I don't know what that's all about. But they do every single person in the hospital, same time, every year, same, And then they all give us like this pittance of a raise, So she didn't say anything to that, working from home full time. But today I work from home. Normally Tuesdays and Wednesdays I work from home. So I'm not going in there Thursday and Friday. And if they say something, say, well, the note says I need to work from home. That's my accommodation, my reasonable accommodation. Anyway. So then earlier, rewind. I turn on my computer, like you would do first thing in the morning. And I get a message that this computer has been reported stolen and you are frozen out of it. I'm like, what? Yeah, they froze the computer. So I put an I call and get an IT ticket. My friend at the next desk, she puts in an IT ticket. We do it a couple different ways. And I don't hear anything. So I call again and I get the offshore Bob from India who puts in another ticket. He's like, no, it's supposed to be the local guy. He'll call you back. I'm like, okay, I thought I was calling the local guy. No, you have offshore. I'm like, okay, whatever. One of the other girls in the office says, oh, I have one of the IT people's numbers. Here's their number. So I call the number. And I get a voicemail. So I explain why I'm calling. No call back. No call back. And I do see that my voicemail is on because, I've been leaving the office. I left the office at one point to go get that note. But I can't check the voicemail because I don't know what the code is. Because I always check my voicemail, would always go to my computer and go into my email, and that's how I would check my voicemail. So I never did it through the phone system, where you put in a code or password or whatever. Anyway. So I call IT again, and they're like, yeah, somebody tried to call you back. And I'm like, well, what is that person's name? How do I get a hold of them? So I call them, and they're like, yeah, I left you a couple of messages. I said, well, I've been out on FMLA, and I'm back, and now I'm frozen out of my computer. Well, you were gone a long time, and when you don't sign into your computer for a long time, it'll just freeze you out because you've missed all of the updates, and now we're going to have to give you a new computer. Okay. Are you coming today? Okay, can you get over here now? She's like, oh, no, I'll bring one to you. So then she's fiddling around, and she's like, I think I can let me call security and see if I can just reinstate you. I'm like, okay, today? Today? So I wait and wait. And then about 3 o'clock, she calls and she's like, I can come over and I can do it. Security says I can, you know, reboot you. They've told me how to do it. So I'm like, okay. Now I had already told them I was leaving at 4 o'clock, and I was dying. My leg hurt, my hip hurt. I had walked so much during the day because from my office to where the employee health office is way across the hospital. I had over 5,000 steps on my app on my watch by the end of the day yesterday. And so she's like, yeah, I'm on my way. So at 4 o'clock, she's not there. I call her office, no answer. I'm like, are you kidding? So I thought, well, let me give her a few more minutes. At 4:15, this woman walks in. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. But, I was headed out of the office and they grabbed me to do something else. And, you got to do what you're told. And I'm like, whatever. So I'm figuring, she'll just do her thing and she'll be out of there. She's like, oh, sit down. It's going to take a while. No. I want to go home and take a pain pill. So I long story short, I end up leaving at 4:35. So it didn't take quite as long as I thought, but yes, I am now able to access my computer, and I didn't have to get a new one. Yeah. She's like, I wish HR would tell people that are out on FMLA to turn their computers on once in a while. And I'm thinking, no, it's kind of illegal. When you're out on FMLA, you are not supposed to do anything work-wise. You don't turn your computer on. Probably shouldn't even have it at home with you. So, whatever. So that was my day. I got absolutely no work done. And I go to my coworker. She that was handling the letters that I do, and she updates me on the letters, so I'm good there. Then I go to my other coworker, who's now a manager, and I said, about my other project, and she's like, oh, we're going to get someone else to do that. And I'm like, why? Because this other person needs more work. And I'm thinking, okay, listen, I said, do I need to go look for another job? I really need to know if I should be, please, come on, I've known you for 3 years. Just tell me, just give me like a wink. Tell me, do I need to go look for another job? She's like, no. At this point, I'm not so sure, honest to God. So now the two major, or the one major, this was a major project that I was doing, and they took it away. I'm like, oh, okay, it was a huge pain in the ass anyway. Let this other person do it. She wanted more responsibility, and she was getting ready to quit, and they wanted her to stay. So I'm like, oh, okay. Alrighty then. Yeah. So that's the work. So today is National World Caring Day. Show somebody you care today. Give them a hug. Write them a note. Yesterday when I got to my desk, there was a little card from my ex-boss saying she's sorry she missed me on the day she left, and she had given me like this little elephant she made out of chocolate. It was, showing me she cared. Which I thought was super sweet. It's chocolate, it's super sweet. But yeah, I thought it was very, very sweet. So do something kind for somebody today. Now, yesterday, I ordered my friend Mary a card table and a lamp. That's what she wanted. She's going through some unfortunate circumstances right now. She's in a homeless shelter, and I tried to raise a little bit of money. I did raise a few dollars, so that's what we used to pay for the card table and the lamp, and that'll arrive where she's at tomorrow. So, Mary, I care, sweetheart. She wanted a place where she could diamond paint and color. Right now, she's working on something that she can do in her lap. She's doing like plastic canvas cross stitch. So she's been one of my subscribers for several years now, and I just wanted to show her that, we care. So show somebody you care. You don't have to tell anybody about it. Just, do it. Isn't that nice? It's nice to be nice to the nice. Yes. Okay. Crafting and crime daily, what you came here for. The trial of Danielle Redbeck starts today, I believe. Now, yesterday they were in jury selection. Now, hopefully they got a jury. This is in Florida. It's a murder case, so they're going to need 12 people. Yeah. Maybe they're still just doing 6. I don't know. Florida's different, yeah. Florida's just, has a mind of its own. So I don't know if it'll be 6 or 12. But anyway, I don't know if they were able to seat a jury yesterday or not. If not, the jury selection will continue today. And the trial will start tomorrow. Where's my tweezers? Tweezers. Well, they're where you're supposed to put them, right? No. Yes. Oh, good. Now, where was that one? Was that here? Now, the case of Danielle Redbeck she is accused of murdering her late husband. There is going to be a 911 call that we're all going to hear where she calls and says, I think he had a heart attack. Now, this is 11 hours after he was killed. Stabbed to death in the kitchen, which I understand she proceeds to clean up, change his clothes, and then call 911. So I'm not even sure why we're having a trial. It's probably going to be one of those quickies, I would think. So we'll see. But the plot twist is the husband was actually her stepfather. He used to be married to her mother. Her mother died of cancer in 1999, and then she marries him. And they had been married for 17 years. So, yeah, that's going to be a good one. Who does that? That is so creepy. Okay, I do have a true crime story for you today. Now, this is kind of a well-known story, but I wanted to go a little bit in depth with it. Not today. Today I'm just going to kind of give you the overview, and we'll end at a certain point where a trial starts. And then I will, when there's no trial, after this trial is over, I'll tell you what happened at the trial. So, this is a case of Joseph and Summer McStay. They had been living in this 2-bedroom apartment in San Clemente, California, and they were so excited. This is their dream home. They just bought this home in Fallbrook, California. Beautiful home. They moved there over Thanksgiving. They were repainting. They had two of the cutest little boys, Gianni and Joey Jr. Now, they were 3 years old and 4 years old, respectively. And they moved into this house, and they were having this just wonderful life, and they were all in love, and no real reports of any discord amongst this couple. Very excited about their new home, about raising their family here. Now, he was quite wealthy. He's done really well. Joseph had a business called Earth Inspired Products, and what this was is these beautiful indoor waterfalls, and he would design them, and his business partner, Chase Merritt, would build them. He would construct them. Now, he also had another employee of this business that operated his website. But he was doing very well. Like, just one of these things cost tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, just gorgeous, gorgeous pieces for inside your house. So, he was doing very well for himself. So the family, they're traveling all over. They actually even own this parcel of property in Belize where they would go and they would just like live off the land over there, just to get away from it all sometimes. So in 2010, this entire family just vanishes into thin air. So let me give you a little background about what was going on. So in November of 2009 is when they move into this house, and they're slowly painting, remodeling. They wanted to, put granite countertops and stainless steel appliances in the kitchen and repaint. And so on December 4th, someone, presumably Summer, makes email inquiries and purchasing software to learn Spanish. Okay, no big deal until after they disappear. Then all of this becomes relevant. On January 27th, someone uses the home computer to email inquiries to about.com regarding travel to Mexico and passports for the kids. So on January 29th, after a soccer game, and these are just like little clues. Okay, January 29th, after a soccer game, Joseph is seen talking to these two strange men. Then on January 31st, the youngest one, Joey, he has his 3rd birthday. And on February 3rd, there's a computer inquiry during the morning hours about creating an invitation to a child's birthday party. Why would it be after his birthday? But anyway, a friend comes to the family's home to help paint and spends half a day, agreeing to return February 6th. This is the last known face-to-face interaction that Summer and the boys have with anybody that they know. Summer uses a credit card to buy $66 of merchandise from a Ross store in Vista, and purchases included educational toys. This was all on February 3rd. February 4th, Summer makes a phone call to her sister, and they make plans for Summer to go see her sister and her sister's new baby. Now, Joseph worked from home, so around noon that day, he leaves home in his trooper to go meet an employee, which was this Chase guy. At 2:36 p.m., Summer's credit card is used to buy beach bags, infant pajamas, and a jacket from a Ross store in Vista. At 3:52 p.m., a home computer is used to search Craigslist for children's toys. At 4:25 p.m., there's an outgoing call from the home phone to Joseph's cell, which pings from the Fallbrook cell tower. And this is the last outgoing call from the home phone. Now, between 5 p.m. and 5:47 p.m., there are text messages back and forth between Summer and Joseph. Obviously on their cell phones. At 7:47 p.m., a neighbor's surveillance video catches just the bottom portion of the vehicle and the tires, and they believe this to be part of the trooper that they drove pulling out of the driveway. You couldn't see any of the occupants on this video. At 8:28 p.m., there's a phone call made from Joseph to, again, Chase Merritt, his business partner. Chase doesn't answer it. Chase later says, "I didn't answer because I was watching a movie with my girlfriend." Now, over the next couple of days, family are trying to get a hold of him, and they're not responding to any phone calls or any texts. And the grandpa, he's getting upset. He's like, no, this wouldn't happen. The voicemails are full. I can't even leave a voicemail because the voicemail is full. My son is a businessman. He would never have have a full voicemail. That's how people order his fountains through his phone. So retrospectively, on February 8th, there's some video footage of a family of 4 crossing the border into Mexico. And I might add that later on, that trooper that they had, the trooper, is left in a parking lot near that border crossing. So if you watch the video of this family crossing the border, you can't really tell if it's them or not. It meets their description. It's a man and a woman, 2 little boys. The little boys like to wear these beanie caps, And clearly these people in the video, the little boys, had beanie caps on. It could have been them. It might not have been them. So on February 10th, the father finally gets the police to go out there and do a welfare check. So the police knock on the door. There's no signs of any foul play. Nobody answers, so they leave. On February 13th, he talks his other son in, Joseph's brother, Mike, to going over to the house. So Mike goes over there with Chase. They go over. Mike finds a window open. He crawls in the window. He goes into the house, and it's just like they've just up and vanished. Like there's 2 bowls of popcorn that are spilled. There's paint, wet, like they just were mid-paint. They just got up and walked away. The lid is off the paint. The brushes weren't clean. There's eggs, a carton of eggs sitting on the counter. Some of them cracked open. I mean, it just, no signs of foul play, but just like they just vanished. So at this point now, the police are interested. They get detectives involved. They get search warrants for the house, the vehicles, because they still have another vehicle that's still in the driveway. But they're looking at this as a missing person, a missing family. Not a murder, a missing family. They notify Interpol in case they did cross into Mexico. And they come to the conclusion that this family just traveled to Mexico of their own free will. You know, mom was learning Spanish. She was buying clothes and toys for the kids, and that they just went to Mexico. So they just kind of stopped investigating. November 11th, there's a motorcycle dirt bike rider. He's out in the middle of this desert in Victorville, California, and he comes across skeletal remains. So he calls the police. They come out. They find 4 bodies in 2 shallow graves, and through dental work, they were able to identify Summer and Joseph as parents. They weren't, I mean, the kids didn't have dental records, but they assumed, since this was mom and dad, that these were the kids. So now the county where the bodies are found, they are investigating this as a murder. And they wanted to go back to the house to search. Now we're talking, this 4 years have passed. At the time this motorcyclist finds the bodies, this is 2013. 4 years later. 3 years, 4 years later, the jurisdiction where the bodies were found, they want to investigate this as a murder. Whereas, you know, where they lived, that jurisdiction had investigated it as a missing persons thing, and it had concluded that they had left of their own free will, and it had closed the case. So, meanwhile, their house gets sold. Someone else is already living there. So the police investigating the murder can't go back to the house where they think the murders occurred. Also found in the 2 shallow graves was this mallet, and the bones, a lot of the bones were broken. So, you know, there were gashes in the head, you know, the skull bones, the other bones. So it looked like they were all killed, and the medical examiner concluded that they were all died of blunt force trauma about the head and neck using this mallet. Now, there were a few different suspects developed. One of the suspects was Summer's ex-boyfriend, who was obsessed with her, to the point where he changed his eye color, his hair color, just because he thought she would like it better, you know. So they investigated him. He had a very solid alibi. They investigated the other employee, the Earth Inspired Products company, the webmaster. He was cleared, although strangely enough, he had put his name on the website as the president of the company and was selling the website domain. Yeah. So, and they, when they talked to him, they felt like he thought he was owed money, that he should have played a bigger part in the company. So he was a suspect for a while, but he was eventually cleared. Then what they concluded was that the murders probably did occur in this house, even though they found no blood in this house. I mean, if you had bludgeoned 4 people to death in the head with this weapon, there should have been blood everywhere. But they think that it was cleaned up and that the murderer actually was doing the painting and repainted the walls. But they were never able to conclusively find evidence of that. So what they finally did was they went to the trooper, the vehicle, and they found trace DNA that matched Chase Merritt. So now they're looking at Chase Merritt, who fails a polygraph test. So he is arrested for the murders of these 4 people. And as it turns out, he was writing very large checks from the company. So very suspect. So next, I'm going to cover the trial of Chase Merritt for the murders of these 4 people. Like, what evidence did they come up with? It was all circumstantial evidence. So what was the circumstantial evidence? Well, we're going to go through that the next time I cover this case. But yeah, these people did not travel to Mexico. They were killed and buried into these 2 shallow graves. The graves were about 100 miles from their home. So, what happened this day in history? So on June 7th, 1962, this huge earthquake hits Jamaica. Now, in Kingston, across from Kingston, is this small island that it was called Port Royal. And at the time, there were about 6,500 residents on Port Royal. Port Royal was known as the headquarters for piracy and smuggling. Well, this earthquake just wiped it out. The ensuing tsunami, tremors, flooding, soil liquefaction, just the entire town gone. That was in 1962. The ship in the Kingston Harbor that actually was found on top of a building after this was all over. They thought that this island was built on bedrock, but it was just built on sand, and all the sand liquefied. There was 40 feet of water. A lot of the people some people were able to survive by actually crawling into that ship. Most of the buildings just sank into the ground. In all, there was about 3,000 people killed as a result of those earthquakes. It was 3 earthquakes. Yeah. 3,000 people died. And then, of course, there was a little respite afterwards because there was looting and illness that ensued. Aftershocks discouraged survivors from rebuilding Port Royal. Instead, they built the city of Kingston, which today remains the largest city in Jamaica. So that's the show for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody have a great Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow in Crafting and Crime Daily. Take care.